Okay, Ashok ji.
Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. Three of Meher Baba's favorite couplets of Hafiz, a mystical Persian poet. Befitting a fortunate slave, carry out every command of the master without any question of why and what. About what you hear from the master, never say it is wrong, because, my dear, the fault lies in your incapacity, in your own incapacity to understand him. I am slave of the master who has released me from ignorance. Whatever my master does is of the highest benefit to all concerned. Hafiz. Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. So this talks about real surrender. Jai Baba.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I think we've been reading this gem of a book with these questions. And um, so, another thing is, I know we discussed about starting discourses at in detail. I just have one logistical challenge that I need to plan around because I'm going to be camping next weekend. So, given it's camping and the fact that I need a lot of time preparing with Karma on that, I don't know if we can start 25th. I would rather start when I'm done 2 weekends after that. So, second week of April is where I would prefer, and maybe we need something else to be read in the next 2 weekends. And one of you can volunteer to read. I can open the meetings, I can join as well, and maybe partially read, but I can't kind of anchor and especially promote, given the plan to relaunch discourses in a big way. So I would rather push the discourses read and look for another small book to read for the next 2 weekends, including tomorrow, because I think we will be done with this book today. Anyway, more on that as we end the day. Uh, who wants to read, or should I read the first part and then we can continue? Mamaji, why don't you read personal questions if you're comfortable?
Okay, okay.
Jai Baba.
Question 6, personal questions. 34A, what work has he done in this life to help humanity? What sort of work does he do in India? How does he work in the West? 35. What relation will his speaking have to the transformation of human consciousness, which has been predicted? 36. Why has he been silent for 8 years? 37. Why does he keep changing his plans and postponing his promises of healing? 38. Who pays for all his travels? Has he money of his own? 40. Will he perform miracles when he speaks? 41. In what religion does he believe? 42. Will his work, like Christ, be missionary in character? 43. What sort of work will his followers do? 44. How can he have both Buddhic and Christ consciousness? 45. Is he interested in politics? 46. Why does he encourage vegetarianism? 47. Why does he not help his own country first? All sorts of questions. Okay.
Very interesting questions, right?
Yes.
I think looking forward to the answers. Yeah.
Yes.
One second, sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Question 34A. What work has Sri Meher Baba done in this life to help humanity? Most of the people who came to him have benefited, some internally, some externally. The internal benefits have been in the form of spiritual experiences, glimpses, and visions of life beyond this material existence, which have transformed their lives and changed their outlook. The external advantages of coming in contact with and having faith in him too have been many and varied. To some in miraculous recoveries from diseases declared incurable by doctors, to others in overcoming their personal troubles and solving their intricate problems in everyday life. Some of his disciples were saved from fatal accidents and actually owe their lives to him. And but for the master's dislike to attach any importance to what by many would be called miracles, the practical and subjective instances of these experiences would fill volumes. Quite apart from these individual subjective experiences, his other external activities in the social and religious spheres of life have benefited the masses through the ashrams spiritual retreats that he has established in India. He has brought about a wonderful unity of all races and religions, particularly that of high class Brahmins with the most depressed class, who are called untouchables and are the most neglected class of people, and whose upliftment he has ever taught. This work has begun some years ago. Sri Meher Baba also maintained a boarding school where boys of all castes and creeds and races lived, studied, and played together under his personal guidance. Scholarships covering all expenses were even offered to enable English boys to attend this spiritual and educational school. He also established a hospital supervised by a Western trained doctor to give free treatment to the poorest peasants of the neighboring districts who had never before had access to Western medical treatment and to whom it was a blessing. With his own hands, he washed lepers and healed five of these afflicted persons. Sincere seekers after truth and knowledge, no matter what their religious creed or agnostic attitude, have found in him their true guide and guru who led them to the light they had been trying to find. His benign grace and guidance on the spiritual path have helped many to remove. Okay. Path have helped many guidance on the spiritual path have helped many to advance towards perfection. The lives of others who are on the verge of ruin and degradation have been redeemed by his timely advice and help. Any comments on this?
I think we have to agree with everything that's said here. And this is still only 1933. We know what more he has done and what all work has been carried out.
That's one thing, but what he did in this period to what he did later, there is a difference. So, how do we account for it? Or what is the idea that it gives to us?
And by difference, you mean what is the nature of the difference?
No, initially there was service oriented thing, and then the training of young minds uh, into the spiritual path and all that. Later on, it gradually became the whole of humanity, West and East gelling together and all that. So, what is the progress
Yeah.
that is from his beginning and expanding later? How do we look at it?
One difference that I see is Baba establishing, you know, kind of establishing places, establishments, as we say.
Okay,
But later there was no establishment as such which was done by Baba. Like school was made and Premashram was made, Hazrat Babajan School, Sai Darbar. So later part that was not there. Baba himself worked with the people who are already on the path, meeting the musts actually.
okay,
So here he was training young minds as an example. But because Baba, whatever he did was only an example. Actually, he was working at multiple uh, aspects of life throughout the creation, and a few of them were with him. Through them, he was working, and later he was contacting the people on the path who are stuck and give them the push, like Rama did during his 14 years of exile.
okay.
Yeah,
And
that's I
That's
think the
one,
most interesting. Yeah, go
and
ahead.
one more point was later after he declared himself as avatar in 52, he made himself available and approachable to the masses, and he mingled with lakhs and lakhs of people actually, and give them his the benefit of his divine presence. That was another aspect which came up much later. After the must contact, though it continued much later, but after the main phase of must contact was over, he declared himself avatar in 52 and then made himself available for all mass darshans, and which was not there earlier. Jai Baba.
Yeah, I
that was
think
a good.
in a very good summary. And I think in his own words, the last part, the new life is very special. And I mean, it's a very intriguing aspect of his life, akin to what you said, Rama and his Vanvas. In the same way, what he was doing, we may never understand completely, but in his own words, it was the phase of helplessness, right? Utter helplessness is what Baba said, right? And helplessness and hopelessness. And all these are very symbolic, right? So we will never be able to gather and comprehend the complete impact of what he was trying to do universally in these actions and in these symbolism. And as we are reading this answer, I was thinking that as MBA, obviously we have done very little to understand and go into the biographic details of Baba's life. Obviously,
Yes,
Lord Mayor is a place to start, but then we have actually we know very little in the detailed level. We have only culled information as we collect, as we read these books, and of course, from all the experiences and little reading. But as for me, I have not read Lord Meher. I've read only, bits and pieces. So I think that's something that's a painful reminder. We should read more about Baba's biography. That's very important. And welcome, Sunil. Long time.
Jai Baba. Yes, long time. I'm aware. I'm quiet.
So,
Everything. Yep.
yeah, all well. So let's continue reading. I think we will get involve everybody.
Mhm.
If yeah. So I'll probably read 34B. 34B. What sort of work does Sri Meher Baba do in India? In whichever part of the world he may be, his internal working is one and the same, but his external workings vary in accordance with the situation and needs of the place where he is. In India, his external working is mainly devoted to the running of ashrams, spiritual retreats, giving darshan, that is, accepting homage and worship to thousands of his devotees who worship him as God man and who journey hundreds of miles in order to offer their homage and devotion. There's a footnote. I never wish to be called Redeemer, Savior, Divine Majesty. The disciples, through their love, faith, and enthusiasm, give such titles. There are many who misunderstand me, who call me Satan, devil, antichrist. But to me, it is all the same. I know who I am. Shri Meher Baba. So interesting.
Karthik, I just had a thought I'll share. It's that all these institutions or ashrams and places where he has opened are for also for not for the present, also for the future. So it's a big task which he has left, or you know, symbolic may be, but it's got a lot of uh, spiritual significance. Jai Baba.
Yeah, and I think also what's unique in his style of working has also been that as he erects these structures, he also dismantled many of them. In fact, most of them, except the legacy of the AMB PCT and Mehrabad and Mehrazad. I do not think that he has retained or consciously kept in continuance anything, right? So everything has been consciously and very quickly, in fact, in many cases, been dismantled to a point where it's completely either dissolved, destructed, moved, closed, and people sent home, and so on. So it's very intriguing, and obviously there were specific uh, activities that he had to achieve in the universal work when he did all those stuff.
Indeed, yes.
Okay. Ashok, you want to read the 34C?
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead.
How does he work in the West? In the West, his external working is chiefly concerned with teaching and explaining, giving answers to questions, issuing messages and statements concerning spiritual life. Sometimes he gives private interviews and explains individually. At other times, he explains to multitudes at receptions and meetings. Any comments, or should I continue, Karthik? Or
Yeah, continue. Please
okay.
continue.
Anybody wants to add, you can. So next 35. What relation will his speaking have to the transformation of human consciousness which has been predicted? Humanity, as at present constituted, uses three vehicles for the expression of thought and experiences three states of consciousness. These three vehicles are: one, the mental body in which thoughts arise as the result of impressions from past experiences. These thoughts may remain latent in the mental body as seeds, or may be expressed. If they are expressed, they take first the form of desires and pass through the subtle body or desire body, which is composed of the five psychic senses. They may rest there, as in the case of dreams or unfulfilled desires, or may be further expressed through three, the physical body with its five physical senses. The three states of consciousness correspond to the three vehicles mentioned above are: one, unconsciousness, as in deep, dreamless sleep; two, subconsciousness, as in the dreaming state or obscure, unformed unfulfilled desires. Everything is experienced through the subtle astral body, waking consciousness as an active daily life. The process by which thought passes from mental to the subtle into the physical expression may be called the expression of human will. In order for thought to be expressed effectively, all three of the vehicles used in its expression must be perfectly clear and the interaction between them must be harmonious. The head and the heart must be united. Intellect and feeling must be balanced. Material expression must be understood as dependent on spiritual realization. The God man neither thinks nor desires. Through him, the divine will flows inevitably into perfect manifestation, passing directly from the spiritual body, which in the ordinary human being is not developed, into physical expression. For him, the superconsciousness is the normal state of consciousness. From him, there flows constantly infinite love, wisdom, joy, peace, and power. In order to convey thought to others, man uses speech or writing or some other physical means of expression. Sometimes, as in telepathy, thought is transmitted and received through and by the subtle body. The God man does not convey thought but truth, which he either awakens in the individual whom he is helping through a deep inner experience, or which he transmits directly from the superconscious to the conscious, from the spiritual to the physical, by means of either the physical eye, the physical touch, or the spoken word.
I think if you stop here,
Yeah,
before continuing further,
yeah,
there
I
is a lot
stopped
of
there.
things in the last
Yes,
portion of the
yes,
that
Mamaji. And I also just had a thought that this is the first time he's equated the subtle body and he's used the term desire body
desire
somewhere.
body.
Desire, the subtle body or desire body, which is composed of the five psychic senses. Of course, there's a cross reference
Yes,
of this in the.
that's my question as well. So, what are these five psychic senses? Has Baba mentioned anything elsewhere about this?
Uh, I think we're thinking same. I think this is what caught my fancy as well. Open to the
It
house.
may be related
Sure.
to the five senses that we have: eyes,
So
ears.
basically, okay, yeah, most likely. But then
Yeah,
I was wondering why psychic. So it's more the physical senses, the sense objects, the five sensory perception, sense perceptions. Okay, fair enough. You were
I
saying
think
something about the last paragraph.
ah,
yeah,
the whole passage is really a sort of a summary of how Baba works on his disciples or the general public who come in contact with him. So it was more than, and also what I feel here is he was talking earlier, stopped talking, then he wrote, stopped that, he used sign language, stopped that also almost. So that is what is given as the, say, the steps in communication. And beyond that is the way he, say, his plans, uh, his way of, say, reaching the subtle body of the whole audience or what, whomsoever he wanted to bring it to, bring them to his consciousness, super consciousness. So the way, how does Baba work, or how does Baba still work with his disciples, becomes very clear here. I think this idea was not ingrained. This passage gives all that idea. Jai Baba.
Yeah, agreed. Anybody else?
So there may be higher meaning in his dropping those physical aspects. Say he moved in some way from the physical plane to the subtle plane and also the mental plane for which whoever was prepared. So when they were in contact with him, so there was no need of say messages or advisors or anything. Just his presence would have transformed them in so many ways. That is all picturized here. Different levels of interaction between God, man, and mortal souls like us.
Hmm.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba, the way I look at the five psychic senses relating to the subtle has to do with the subtle planes. So when the real spiritual journey starts only when you are in the starting from the first plane of involution, which is the subtle plane. So the first three planes, of course, the first plane is on the threshold between the gross and the subtle. That Baba has mentioned that in each of the different planes, your experience of sound, smell, sight is going to be different. And that is what is meant there. Because it's going to be completely different the way we experience the five physical senses in the gross world.
Yeah, I think I totally agree. Correct. It's the subtle smell. It's the subtle sight. Correct. I think you're right. I mean, you're perfectly correct. Yes.
Jay Baba, I just wanted to add that uh, the Baba has said that I've come to awaken and not teach, and so I think that message, in terms of his changing his methods of communication, he said all the precepts and principles have been given. So I think he has given a lot of importance to silence, or what they call maun, or keeping silent in speech. I think that has got a very that is something which may be also inferred from this passage. So I mean, there is what I'm trying to say is that uh, keeping silent is also of immense spiritual value. Shiva.
Sure. You want to just finish off this last extract,
Definitely, yes.
please?
Extract. Sorry, you saying something? Sorry, Karthik, you saying something?
No, no, please go
No.
ahead.
No. Extract from Shri Meher Baba's message to India. In the conscious awake state, all that you experience by seeing, hearing, eating, walking, etc., is done through the gross body. In the subconscious dream state, everything is experienced through the subtle body. In this state, the mortal mind, with the help of the desire body, may see past events occur, past events recur, or may foresee future happenings, and sometimes past, present, and future events may appear together in confusion. This would be a nightmare. This all depends upon the impressions in the mind received through the physical body in accordance to the proportion of its attachment to gross activities. In the unconscious, deep sleep state, you are either unaware of the physical or astral happenings and so experience nothingness. One who transcends these three states of consciousness and gains illumination experiences the superconscious state. This is the Christ, Buddha, Krishna state, the God man state, in which one attains to perfect manhood and perfect divinity. To be one with the source of all love, knowledge, power, light, and existence is to enjoy infinite bliss and feel in harmony with everyone and everything. Art, science, beauty, nature appear as one's own manifestation. This is all well. This is all well and good for the individual, but what about the multitudes? In the present state of world depression and economic strife, the supreme thought of the people at large is about their daily bread. How can they think of or aspire to spiritual illumination? And it is self interest caused by low selfish desires that is the root of this universal condition of misery. Material desire is misery. When you want a thing, you crave for it until you get it. This is suffering. When you get it, you don't experience the happiness you expected. This is disappointment, which is also suffering. And this self interest cannot be eliminated by means of religious piety, nor can sermons or the fear of heaven and hell help. Only when the atmosphere of selfless love and universal brotherhood prevails through the world will this self interest be annihilated. Then only will people realize the true aim of life is not merely to eat, drink, sleep, or seek for pleasure. In other words, to gain material welfare, but to attain real happiness in every phase of life, material, social, and spiritual. And this time is drawing near. I have a suggestion, Karthik, if you can highlight this part where the paragraph above and also in this paragraph, uh, there's something about uh, material desire is misery. Yeah, and here only. Material desire is misery.
Hmm.
Yes, material
Yeah.
desire is misery.
Sorry?
Yeah. Yeah.
When you want to think, yeah, this is really, it's all the root cause of all the agony which the world is passing through.
True.
Okay. So, any thoughts? Again, these are all very. This is a very profound and complete message, right? On what um, on Baba's total message and overall theme. So I think this answer also talks about the the basic framework of Baba, right? Except the theme, except the divine theme. So he's talking about the states, the bodies, and the states of wakefulness, the three states. So only thing missing is the divine theme. So those are the three constructs that Baba has used, right? So in that sense, yeah, it's very complete
And
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 yes.
in the earlier paragraph, he also explained, earlier paragraph, yeah, the next one, I think you've gone ahead. Just if you can go back, please, above this. He's also explained that Baba has said that only your mental um, your in your not the one before this, please. Just the paragraph above. Yeah, yeah. In your subconscious dream state, everything is experienced with subtle body. Here he says that you are, although the mind is the repository of past, present, future, but you are only remember or you have You sort of remember or are reminded of only the present, so that there is no confusion in the mind. Somewhere it says that. He says that in this state of the mortal mind, yeah, sometimes in the state, I think you can highlight this, and the one says in the next paragraph also. If you can highlight this, I think it's, if you think it's,
Yeah, yeah.
I think you can see this is a real. The mind is a real, is a, like a computer. The nucleus of the computer has got a lot of things it can do.
Indeed. Okay, so let's continue. Sunil, are you in a position to read?
Yes, I can.
Very good.
From number
36.
36.
Yes, go ahead.
Why has he been silent for 8 years? When he speaks, truth is more powerfully manifested than when he uses either sight or touch to convey it. For that reason, avatars usually observe a period of silence lasting for several years, breaking it to speak only when they wish to manifest the truth to the entire universe. So when Shri Meher Baba speaks, he will manifest the divine will, and a worldwide transformation of consciousness will result. Any comments on this? Any additions? Avatars usually observe a period of silence lasting for several years. I was not aware of this.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is there a recorded history or anybody wants to share any thing they know about other avatars and their the vows of silence?
Except for Buddha, who did a lot of penance, he was silent at that time. I think Rama, Krishna, I don't have any specific example or anecdotes relating to their being silent for the sake of the spiritual.
Yeah, though it was not expressed, maybe Rama also
Yes,
faced because
yes.
he was in jungles, surviving on fruits and vegetables
Mm.
on the way. He must have, actually speaking, he must have searched for food for survival, and he was with his wife and brother.
Yeah, could
And also
silence
So that's
have
Rama,
another
also in
meaning?
a way, yes, yeah,
Rama is an example for how to live. Krishna is a preacher how to live, regarding how to live, and
yeah, yeah.
practically he showed how things happen, and then how you modify or evolve in that process.
Yeah, theory.
Theory part of it, and also
Yes,
practically showing the things of
yes, yes.
both the bad and the good together. That is Mahabharata. Uh, the pivotal role in Mahabharata is Krishna. So these are the different ways avatars work, I think, depending on what is the situation at that time and what is the need for that time. So in that respect, Baba has come out, put it, operating system is different for the different times. Jai Baba.
Yeah.
Jai
Yeah,
Baba. It's,
continue, Sunil.
yeah. Why does he keep changing his plans and postponing his promises of healing? Although he seems to change his plans and apparently does not keep his promises about the dates of his speaking and healing, etc., in reality it is not so. For, as a perfect master, the avatar of age, he knows all that is to happen in future, and everything is planned and arranged by him beforehand. Although he really knows when he is destined to speak and heal, he postpones the dates from time to time in order to give greater force to his final workings. and in order also that all that he has planned during these past years will be revealed fully on the day of his manifestation. Again, any add ons? Anybody has any
This
comment?
last aspect is always stressed. Till the end, Baba did not speak in the say physical term of speaking, but his speaking is there for all humanity. Whoever searches in the Baba's messages or his anecdotes and other things. So, in this sense, it is a craving of all of us to hear from somebody. But Baba said, did through his say uh, different levels in subtle ways, he could reach the humanity. And if we become receptive for that sort of a receiving message from Baba, I think that benefits more than what is written or what is printed and all that. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Anybody else?
Oils, oils. So listen to your inner voice. That's his voice.
Also, I wouldn't attach any significance to speaking part of it. There's so much message from Baba which we can hardly digest.
Yeah.
Whether he spoke or not, it doesn't matter. I think that
Yes.
physical speaking to me looks irrelevant after looking at all the books and literature that Baba's left behind. So, well, yeah. 38. Who pays for Shri Meher Baba's travels? Has he money of his own? Amongst his numerous disciples in the East as well as in the West, there are many who are rich and who voluntarily contribute money towards his cause for the maintenance of ashrams and for travels that his work necessitates. There are a few who have dedicated all their possessions and even their lives to him. From the spiritual point of view, it may be expressed in his own words: the whole universe is mine. From the material standpoint, he's sometimes wealthy and sometimes penniless, but always equally unattached. See also question 53. Anybody wants to comment anything? How's the Mehrabad Trust doing with the funds? Anybody has any idea? They were a little bit tight after the foreign inflow stopped.
Yes,
I
I had seen some messages where they have expressed that there is a need for fund right now.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they are short, sort of short in funds because of the stoppage of inflow from other part of the globe. So there was an expressed request for funds
Right.
from devotees and well-wishers.
True. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll go to 39. Was he, during his boyhood, conscious of his own high spiritual destiny? Yes, at certain times he had glimpses of his divinity and his future work and mission. Will he perform miracles when he speaks? He will perform miracles when the time and situation demand. He will perform them to draw towards him the skeptical, unbelieving people who would never believe in truth unless it were proved by some extraordinary phenomena. Miracles are not necessary for the understanding persons because spiritual healing is by far the greatest healing. And this is Sri Meher Baba's real work. He will not perform miracles to satisfy mere idle curiosity. In what religion does he believe? He belongs to no religion in particular, and yet to every religion. Love is his principal agent. The Infinite One can be attained only through love and selfless service. Dogmas and doctrines, rites and ceremonies do not constitute true religion. To realize God in every phase of life, in art, science, beauty, nature, this is his religion.
So I've
What?
been thinking of one thing over the last week. So I'll ask the question and get the views of the group on this. Do you think there's going to be a religion that's going to get formed in Baba's name?
No, that will be a failure of Baba's work, I think.
Yeah, but I
That
think it's inevitable. My
Yeah,
feeling
inevitable.
is,
It will
yeah,
happen.
it
It
will
will
happen.
happen. And
It will happen.
yeah, yeah.
rituals
So
and rites will get stuck to it, and then
yes, it will happen.
Yeah,
that's
whatever
what I
Which,
form
think.
or intensity of different aspects of rituals, rites, mantras, protocols, dress codes, it might come, but it something would have that nature would evolve. It could be more sublime. That's what
hopefully,
we
hopefully.
hopefully
So
we hope.
lesser
But some
reliance
of it
on
will come.
rights.
Yeah,
Correct. Lesser
yeah.
reliance probably on rites and rituals. Probably it will be more, as you said, sophisticated, sublime, and more relevant to this age. But some sort of formation of a structure, which is what Baba fought and resisted all along, may result, and I mean may happen in the next 100 years. And I think it's unavoidable. That's what I'm thinking. That's why I wanted to check what you
To
guys
say
think.
it is unavoidable is not good. We thinking people at this level, we should fight against it. Anyway, that is the reason why avatars come back in ages. So to
By the
change,
way, sorry, Mamaji, you complete first. Yeah. Have you
that's
heard
why
the
they.
talk season of season of love? It is there in Mandley Hall talks actually. There it is talking of this subject actually. So
Mhm.
that's why it is said that first 100 years is as if he is physically present, and we are so fortunate that we are in that period actually. That though he is not in the body, but he is there, and he gives examples like if you do a arti at 7 o'clock, you are a Baba lover. You do not do, you are still a Baba lover. You go to Ahmednagar, you are a Baba lover. If you don't go, you are still a Baba lover. You know, it's so open. It's just love which prevails. And over the time, as that, years pass by, centuries pass by, this aura of love which is currently prevailing, that period of 100 years, the season of love, will slowly fade away. The fragrance would fade away, and the systems and dogmas will take over. So it's a beautiful talk. If and any of you have heard it,
No,
No.
no.
let me try to find the link and post it on the must. It is a must here actually. So
And
beautiful. Yeah. Jai Baba.
anchored by, I mean, is it multiple people speaking or is it just
No,
Erich?
no, it's only one person. It's not Iraj.
Okay.
The first Iraj talks of this subject answering to a question. And there is a tape which is played in the Monty Hall talks, Manly Hall, which is by another foreign gentleman. I forget the name. His talk is played
Okay.
in the Mandley Hall, and that is part of the recording. Yeah, Season of Pure Love. I think that's the title of the talk. But I'll post it definitely. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
Thank you.
Baba.
Thank you.
What
Uh,
what dogmas or
Jay
disciplines?
Baba, I have a different take on this. I think yes, based on the past, one can say that there will be some kind of organizational effort to make it into a cult or something. But what we have to understand is we are in a different shift in consciousness. This is the first time the avatar has combined the East and the West, the Oriental and the Occidental. Baba said, I'm putting all the different religions like beads on a string. And today we are seeing that the world is like a global village. So it's a very, very different kind of environment that we have now compared to the previous avatars. Even though you might call it Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, those were all very regional based. This is the first time, from what we know from history, that even though the avatar is not public, he is available to all of us. We are part of the inner crowd. And of course, his energy of pure love, that 100%, that's going to last for the from what 1969 to 2069. But again, according to the law of thermodynamics, entropy, every orderly system tends towards disorder. That's what I feel when Baba said that, as the years go by, after the 100 years of manifestation in the Nirguna Nirakar form, the love energy will kind of reduce. But I believe that we are in a different shift in consciousness. As Baba said, we have gone from the age of animal instinct to the age of analytical reasoning mind. Now it is the age of intuition. So it is going to be a different era. Of course, now with all the wars that are going on, the environmental violence, the physical violence, so there is going to be somewhat like a analogy of World War III, but then there will be a kind of a new era. That's my understanding. Jai Baba.
I
You're
completely
still
agree
dodging
with
the
you.
question. Religion, no religion.
No religion.
So I would say,
No,
Karthik,
Kama.
or
I want Kama to finish. So
okay, okay.
the,
I thought he's finished. Okay.
Kama, are you
Yeah.
there?
So I feel that we are in a different. Yes. Uh, hello.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm
we
yes,
there.
can hear
we
you.
are
Go ahead.
hearing you.
Keep going.
Yeah, yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that we are in a different era, like a different shift in consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So we will see a different kind of,
Agreed.
I don't know, for lack of a word, operating system or something like that. It will be an individual journey. For example, what I feel for myself, I can tell you that even though I have not met Baba physically, I feel him around me, like the way Nomita says, right? In a very, uh, from her bhakti yoga point of view, because she's a woman, from the heart. My mind comes from the mind to the heart. And what I see is like having read discourses in the last 2 years during our sessions, it was very difficult, when we read God speaks, but I've seen that Baba helps me to understand some of the doubts I had. So there is a direct relationship that we are actually having with Baba on an individual sense. So my understanding is that this civilization and future civilizations, it will be an individual one-on-one journey with the avatar if you connect with him or with a perfect master. So that is my understanding, because we have all the literature now, and it's a matter of how sincere and dedicated you are and how you connect with the transcendental. And that is what is going to determine. We don't need to have groups of people. Yes, we need groups of people initially, like a kindergarten. But as you go higher and higher, as you ascend, it is going to be a very individual journey. So
Very, very
that's what I
good point.
care about.
That's a good point. So what you're saying is, with the era that we are in, structure is less important, because the space-time limitation of information as asymmetry is destroyed. So information is accessible for the person who's reaching out, and of
Right.
course, Baba is accessible to the person who's connected, and then it's a personal journey. So in that sense, you don't need the groups and structures as much as you needed in the other eras. Very good point. I think that I buy. So the nature of this organization could be different, but there is a greater chance of that being delayed or that being weaker than in the other avataric advents, post the other avataric advents. That's a good point, given where things are
There will
today.
be, yeah, there will be less of a herd mentality, trying to
Correct.
follow something, and much more of an individual yearning, like which you see with your own kids. If you look at the younger generation, the kids are much more non-herd mentality. They want to
Correct.
discover themselves. They want to awaken themselves. They want to become much more individualized rather than being part of a crowd. So that is my opinion.
Super. Good point. And on that note, we can switch the reader. Kama, why don't you read?
No,
42.
no, somebody, I'm in a family gathering, so you guys read. I think there was
Okay,
something
okay.
Sunil was mentioning. Sunil, you were going to say something. I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
was saying that I completely agree with Kama. I don't think there'll be religion in the way that we've seen religion in past in the name of Baba. I wanted to cite an example, just struck my mind just now. Last month, I was presenting, in my own company. We've, since I joined this new company, we've been on a journey to create a technology DNA, lots of solutions, a lot of technical stuff which they didn't have previously. So we presented it to somebody, an Indian guy who came from US. He was super impressed. He said, "Beautiful. I don't see anybody else doing all this and great work you all are doing." In the same breath, he said, "You know, all the work, the knowledge that you have gained in your company and all the work you're doing in some form or the other is available today to everybody. You look up internet, you'll find it somewhere or the other. And this is an age of execution. Are you able to execute all this knowledge to the benefit of the organization? And here we are in spiritual world. I think there's enough knowledge. You don't need to form groups and this, that, and it's going to be more individual journey. On the other side, you look at the operating systems. We said latest OS from Apple to Microsoft to Linux, open source. Everything is becoming open. Chat GPT is there. You go and write codes on chat, download codes from chat GPT. How you execute it in your own life is going to be more individual in future. So the world is moving towards that direction where each one is empowered to execute, whether spiritual, technical, any other part of life, to the fullest. Now it's up to the individuals how they do it. They may not need to form a group to gain that knowledge. So that's what came to my mind.
Very interesting. I'm glad I asked the question.
Yes,
Great.
yes.
Okay.
Thank
No,
you.
it is
Jai Baba.
say there is no need of smaller selves coming together to achieve something, but it's a journey of the smallest by gradual awakening to the biggest self.
Correct. Agreed.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Jai Baba.
Yeah.
Is somebody else going to read, or should I continue, or come on, decline?
Yeah, yeah. You can continue, and then we'll get Sanjay to read as well.
All right.
Good.
So,
Y-
will his work, like Christ, be missionary in character? He will establish no new religion, yet his work will embrace all religions in their essence and spirit, particularly in their mystical and spiritual aspects, and be absolutely unconcerned with their ceremonial side and dry dogmas. His work, therefore, will not be missionary in the narrowest sense of the word, but will permeate through all religions. What sort of work will his followers do? The duties allotted to each of his disciples will vary in form and character according to the inner experiences of each. A certain number will attain the realization of the one divine self, and large number will have illumination. Both groups will know inwardly what to do through the spiritual experiences that they, in their highly advanced states, will then have, and they will work spontaneously without further instructions. And the duties of one and all his disciples, whether in an advanced or in a normal state, will always concern the spiritual upliftment of humanity. So are we disciples or we are just Baba lovers? Or what does it mean? Are we getting any duty or?
That will awaken to you. So,
only,
you
only,
Good
you
one.
eh,
move further.
We you you may already
So
be
if you're
doing without
asking the
knowing it.
question,
Yes, yes.
no, if you're asking the question, you have not heard the voice yet, according to Mama.
yeah, Sanjay ji is just kind to me.
Yeah, you may already be doing it without knowing it.
I don't
Yeah, that's
know.
another
Baba knows.
way.
The best thing is not to know, honestly.
Yeah,
Really, you're
right,
doing it. The
right.
moment you start knowing it, I think you're on a slippery path. I hope
Yes.
I can do something good without doing it. Anyway, yeah, Jai Baba. How can Shri Meher Baba
Okay.
have both
Yeah, go ahead. You can read. I thought I'll ask Sanjay after this question.
both
Please
the
go ahead with this.
Buddhic and Christ consciousness? There is but one divine infinite consciousness, whether realized by Christ or experienced by Buddha, and the external expression of this divine consciousness varies according to the circumstances confronting at the moment of historical time. The God-men who have attained to his superconscious state, once gained, the cosmic consciousness is gained for eternity and is continually present either on the spiritual plane or as the Word made flesh for the upliftment of humanity. I didn't very well understand this. Anybody can explain?
Once gained, the cosmic consciousness is gained for eternity. It is forever. And
Mm-hmm.
in continually present either on the spiritual plane or as the word made flesh for the upliftment of humanity. The second part I am unable to
Yeah,
just.
that's where I got stuck also. Anybody can
So
explain?
this, I don't know, but I think this is the biblical thing of the word. In the
Yes.
beginning, there was the word, and that starts creation. So maybe this is a reference to one is, so if you see the previous line, it says on the spiritual plane. So it's present either on the spiritual plane or in phenomenal world. Phenomenal world is represented by as the word made flesh for the upliftment of humanity, I think.
Yeah, we may just consider the word also is another meaning of cosmic consciousness. Which is because
Yes.
word is the first actual physical form that it comes actually. Who am I? That word. So that word is made flesh. The consciousness, super consciousness or cosmic consciousness is made flesh for the upliftment of humanity. I think that's one way to understand.
The way I look at it is that the word made flesh for the upliftment of humanity is like Baba in the physical form, who is the avatar, or if you take the perfect masters, the five Sadgurus, they are the word made flesh for the upliftment of humanity. Because you are
Correct.
seeing them in physical form and they manifest that reality that we are all trying to unite with, which is our own self. So, what we are seeing is that if you compare a perfect master or avatar with an ordinary human being, the ordinary human being has his realized self, which is the superconscious of Maha Chaitanya, but that is covered by the cloud of sanskaras. Whereas with a Sadguru or an avatar, he is pure consciousness. So that is how I look at this metaphor. Jai Baba.
Yes,
Okay.
it connects with the first aspect of the paragraph. Once gained, the cosmic consciousness is gained for eternity and is continually present either on the spiritual plane or as the word made flesh for the upliftment of humanity. So if you refer to the Sadgurus and the avatar, they come in their flesh for the upliftment of humanity. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. So, Sanjay ji, Are you in a position to read?
Yeah. Yeah.
Please, 45, please.
Is he interested in politics? Spirituality touches all the problems of religion, politics, sociology, and economics. It concerns each and every phase of life. And as Shri Meher Baba is spiritually perfect, he directly or indirectly is interested in all the various aspects of life.
What an answer, unexpected answer,
Yeah,
but so
yeah.
correct.
But not to be interpreted as Baba lovers, we should get involved in politics, which Baba
Absolutely.
has
That
asked us
very
not to.
clearly, yeah, very
Yeah,
clearly
yeah.
said that.
Word of caution.
Yeah,
Word of caution. Yeah.
correct.
Jai Baba.
No,
Yeah.
the other aspect of that is politics is useless. So don't get attached to one which is not so very useful.
Yeah,
Anyway,
because yeah, as God is involved in everything, so
everything.
politics is also part of the creation. So he's
Yes,
in that sense, it is said. I think. Why does he encourage vegetarianism? Good question. He advises vegetable food for spiritual reasons and also for reasons of health. Animal food stimulates excitement, lust, passion, and evil desires, which are all detrimental to spiritual progress. Vegetable food helps one to keep the feelings, emotions, and desires balanced and normal, and hence assists the aspirant on the spiritual path. Also, it improves health, aids digestion, and is free from certain poisons contained in animal food. Very clear cut answer.
By the way, Nita and I are vegetarian since January.
Oh, that's
What's
great.
that?
From this year onwards.
Uh,
Yes,
oh, Sunil, you turned vegan or vegetarian?
vegetarian.
vegetarian.
We
Okay, very good.
since January. Nomita
And
decided one day.
one more into the club. Okay.
Mm, good.
I think this is related to the what we call as tamasic, rajas, and sattvic food.
Yes, yes.
Correct.
Second thing is that plant kingdom have a different kind of sanskaras. You can look at it in the sense that the sanskaras are much more gross with the animal kingdom, and also animals when they are being killed, the fear and the stress, it induces certain kind of toxins, and that is why we see that now, especially because of factory farming where they are using all kinds of chemicals, that is why people are suffering from cancer and all kinds of modern diseases, because the meat that is being the meat that is being offered in the market is processed meat. There's a lot of chemicals. That is why we see more diseases now, and it accumulates in the body when you're eating for 30-40 years, and that is how it manifests into cancer and all kinds of other stuff. Whereas when we look at the earlier time, I think people say, why do Tibetan monks have to have meat? Because of circumstances. Baba also had fish. Baba also had chicken for certain periods, for his diet. But technically, for spiritual purposes, if you stick to a sattvic diet, a vegetarian diet, it helps in the in the spiritual journey. Yeah, Baba.
Absolutely. Super. 47.
Why does he not help his country first? The whole universe is his country and hence
And
and
home.
home and he responds to the call of any part of the universe which he sees to be in need of his help.
I'll tell you an incident that happened to Ramana Maharishi when World War II was happening. I mean, he was a Jivan Mukta, as we know, and he never moved from Tiruvannamalai more than 2 kilometers away from the radius, from the center, from the age of 16 till for 54 years, I think. Yes. And one day, one guy came to him and told him that there is World War II happening, a lot of people are dying, and you're just sitting here doing nothing. What kind of a guru you are? Like, so, the answer he gave was, he said, the creator who created this world will take care of the business of life. You mind your own business. You figure out who am I. That's your job. Don't worry about what's happening out there. Jai Baba.
Brilliant. So, by the way, I wanted to share this over a text and I forgot. Kama. So I heard in some talk from Ward Parts that he confirms Ramana Maharishi to be a perfect master. So I should write to him to find out where he got that reference, right? So because we have talked about this in the past, whether he's obviously Jivan Mukta, but was he perfect? Has Baba mentioned or anything? So I think that's something to discuss and find out from him.
No, I can
All
tell
right.
you that based on the literature of God Speaks, he is a very special kind of Jivan Mukta, which is called Akmal. There is
Okay.
there is Kamil, which is Jivan Mukta, then Akmal, and then Mukhamil is perfect master. So, according to God Speaks, the Jivan Mukta can only give God realization to one person. Okay? And he is passive. He is in Sahaja Samadhi. He is a real Salik. Okay? Simultaneously experiencing God consciousness and body consciousness. But he doesn't have the kind of duty that a perfect master has. But there is a word called perfection. So both Salik, Jivan Muktas, and Sadgurus are basically come under the category of perfection. There are terms called perfect ones. Perfect ones are they are Shivatmas. All the 56 God realized souls are perfect ones. But when you read the God speaks, there is a category called perfection, and that only the Jivan Muktas and the Sadgurus, because they are in Sahaja Samadhi. So Akmal is somebody who can give self-realization to many. So definitely a Sadguru gives self-realization, but an Akmal is a very, very rare form. And I also told you that earlier he had given self-realization. He gave liberation to his mother,
Mother
and he also
and a
gave
cow.
liberation to Lakshmi the cow. Okay,
Oh,
and that part is clearly mentioned in God Speaks in the middle, that after the first part is over and the second part where he talks about 10 states of God, there's a 2-page thing where I think I will see if I can get that, in the next discussion. But he says that you can get liberation without having to go through, even if you go through one human cycle, evolution, reincarnation. So it is all depends on the master. So I'll stop you, Jay Baba.
Okay, Jai Baba. Um, yeah, so we'll continue to part 7, which is the last part in this book. Yeah, go ahead. Mamaji read very little today, so a little
yes,
bit from little more from Mamaji, and then we'll wrap up again with maybe Sanjay.
yes,
Mamaji.
yes. Section 7, miscellaneous questions, world problems, philosophical problems. 48. What in what in his opinion is the real meaning and purpose of life? 49. How will he be able by speaking to ease the world depression to solve the problems of unemployment, prohibition, and crime? 50. Has he any solution for the problems of politics, economics, morals, and sex? 51. Which individuals and nations will benefit most by the new spiritual impulse? 52. What, in his opinion, is the characteristic mental attitude of the West? 53. What is his opinion concerning money? 54. How does he explain good and evil, heaven and hell? 55. How did evolution begin and work? 56. Does he deny matter? 57. What is his opinion about marriage and celibacy? 58. What are sanskaras? Answers. What, in his opinion, is the real meaning and purpose of life? It is to become identified with the universal self and thus to experience infinite bliss, power, and knowledge. And finally, to be able to impart this experience to others and make them see the one indivisible infinity existing in every phase of life. It's a nice sentence of
Super.
a definition. It is
Yeah.
to become identified with the universal self and thus to experience infinite bliss, power, and knowledge. The first aspect. And finally, to be able to impart this experience to others and make them see the one indivisible infinity existing in every phase of life.
Awesome.
Yes. 49. How will Shri Meher Baba be able, by speaking, to ease the world depression, to solve the problems of unemployment, prohibition, and crime? The root of all our difficulties, individual and social, is self interest. It is this, for example, which causes corrupt politicians to accept bribes and betray the interests of those whom they have been elected to serve, which causes uh, bootleggers to break for their own profit a law designed, whether wisely or not, to help the nation as a whole, which causes people to connive for their pleasure in the breaking of that law, thus causing disrespect for law in general and increasing crime tremendously, which causes the exploitation of great masses of humanity by individuals or groups of individuals seeking personal gain, which impedes the progress of civilization by shelving inventions which would contribute to the welfare of humanity at large. Written in United States of America, 1932. What is that number? Oh,
So that this whole message was written in 1932. Yeah.
yes. So the whole gamut of the thing is the root of all difficulties, individual and social, is self-interest. That is the crux of it. So when self-interest comes, all things get bypassed. All things get into a different route.
Yeah. So it continues. I'm sorry. So
Continue. Sorry.
yeah. So why don't you read again from this,
Beginning. Okay.
this
Okay.
from here, maybe.
Yes. uh, General and increasing crime tremendously, which causes the exploitation of great masses of humanity by individuals or groups of individuals seeking personal gain, which impedes the progress of civilization by shelving inventions which would contribute to the welfare of humanity at large. Continuing, simply because of their use would mean the scrapping of present inferior equipment, which, when people are starving, causes phantom destruction of large quantities of food simply in order to maintain market prices, which causes the hoarding of large sums of gold when the welfare of world demands its circulation. These are only a few examples of the way self-interest operates to the detriment of human welfare. Eliminate self-interest and you will solve all your problems, individual and social. But the elimination of self-interest, even granting a sincere desire on the part of the individual to accomplish it, is not easy and is never completely achieved except by the aid of a perfect master who has the power to convey that truth at will. For self-interest springs from a false idea of the true nature of the self, and this idea must be eradicated and the truth explained before this elimination is possible. Sri Meher Baba intends, when he speaks, to reveal the one supreme self, God, which is in all. This accomplished, the idea of self as a limited separate entity will disappear, and with it will vanish self interest. Cooperation will replace competition. Security will replace certainty. Security will replace certainty. Generosity will replace greed. Exploitation will disappear. Any further in that? Okay. Refer to footnote.
So self-interest, I think, and we are seeing this play out even today, right? So self-interest is governing everything. Human greed, capitalism, and it continues. Nothing has changed on that front. And the cause for that, he says very clearly, is the wrong identification of the self, right?
Yes.
Where is that? He says that way of selfness. Okay, self-interest is, yeah. For self-interest springs from a false idea of the true nature of the self. And this idea must be eradicated and the truth experienced before the elimination is possible. Right? So, okay. One more question and then we'll go to. Oh, I think we are almost done. We have to wrap up. Okay, one more question and we'll wrap.
As Sri Meher Baba, any solution for the problems of politics, economics, morals, and sex, in the general spiritual push that he will impart to the world, the problems of politics, economics, and sex, although they are subsidiary to the primary, will automatically be solved and adjusted, and new values and significance will be attached to matters which appear to baffle solution at the present moment. Yes. So hit at the target properly, self-interest, everything will be solved.
Yeah.
51. Which individuals and nations will benefit most by the new spiritual impulse? Perfect masters impart spirituality by personal contact and influence, and the benefit that will accrue to different nations when Shri Meher Baba brings about the spiritual upheaval will largely depend upon the amount of energy each possesses. The more the energy, however misapplied, the greater the response. The master merely directs the current into the right channels. I didn't get the clarity of this answer. Which individuals and nations will benefit most by
I think that line. Oh, 1 second. Can you go down, can you go up, please? The more the energy, in the previous question, 50.
The more the energy, however misapplied, the greater the response.
Yes. So I think that's a very interesting statement out here. Baba says the benefit that will accrue to different nations when Sri Meher Baba brings about the spiritual upheaval will largely depend upon the amount of energy each possesses. The more the energy, however misapplied, the greater the response. This kind of gives me an insight into Baba was very much interested in America. See, he said that the spiritual upheaval will happen through America will be one of the benefactors, meaning they will spearhead this. Right now, America is going through what we call as the misapplication of its energy. And Baba always said that America has a lot of energy, which we see, there are a lot of karma yogis, but that energy is misdirected. So here it is very interesting to see the master merely directs the current into the right channels. So one of the insights I got was when Baba was talking about America, that the real, it's not going to be in the East. The spiritual upheaval is going to happen through America. This is what my understanding is, Jai Baba.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point. Yeah. And amount of work he did with the and West and materialism represented by America, misapplied energy, the response will be
And
equally
also
great there.
shedding his blood. Yes, and also shedding blood in America and India. So it is almost like the American materialism and the Indian spiritualism. There has to be a balancing act out here. Because to me, the definition of spirituality is how to live a material life, spiritually speaking, which is understanding the universal laws of nature and understanding, Baba's theme of creation and discourses and so on. Okay, Baba.
Perfect. So I think we'll stop here. We anyway have to do another 10 odd pages. We'll continue tomorrow. I'll stop recording.